Let's go to Chris Phillips right now. He's a former Metropolitan Police DCI. He's also the former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office to talk about, well, do we have enough money for policing? A very good morning to you, Chris.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you for joining us. I mean, another day, another dollar. Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, complaining about not having enough money. The spending review is being announced by Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, on Wednesday. It's got to be sent to the publishers at some point. I'm going to guess, around now is the last minute for any debates and discussions. We understand Angela Rayner's won more for her housing bills, but we know that Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, is still being in battles over police funding. But we've had some very senior police representatives basically saying, look, the heads of two bodies that represent ordinary officers and superintendents, saying police morale has been crushed and saying the police service is broken and it's funding cuts that are the problem. Are they over-egging the pudding, or is it a genuine issue?
No, it is very much a genuine issue, and it's not just this year, actually. It's over the last 15 years where gradually, well, initially very much so, large amounts of money were taken out of the police budget. And then every year since there's been reductions. This at a time when policing is becoming far more expensive. And the net result of that, Julia, is we don't see police officers patrolling our streets anymore. And if we want police officers to keep us safe, and let's be quite honest, we cannot run a society without having law and order working properly.
Yep.
Then you need to pay for it.
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people would feel, whenever we discuss, the police say we need more money for this, or we're going to not be able to investigate crimes. You'll think, you're not investigating most of the crimes that happen anyway. So are we going to notice the difference?
Well,
but is that a lack of funding? I know the Home Office got hit. It was particularly badly hit in the austerity years under Cameron and Osborne. I know that. But, I mean, is it uniquely badly hit that they really can't do their job?
Yeah, I do believe it is. And if you just look at the pay scales for police officers now, I mean, you would not ever recommend anyone joining the police.
But I feel the same way about journalism. Honestly, the wages for people, one of my first jobs, the wages that people had a couple of years ago was the same as I had when I was 25, and I ain't close to 25 anymore. I mean, the exact same amount of money. So, I mean, that's a lot of careers, isn't it?
It is a lot of careers, and you're quite right. I think particularly in the public sector, it's struggled a bit, but right across the board. But policing is a very difficult thing to do. People generally, certainly in my time, and for many hundreds or 100 years, were signing up for long-term careers. Yeah. Now they're not. They're leaving because they just know that they're not being supported. They're not earning enough money. They can earn twice as much money very easily just going and driving a train. Yeah. And they're just not staying as police officers. And you lose experience, Julia. Yeah. You lose the ability to police the street. And
of course, that just the morale within. I know I've mentioned this on the air before. A friend of mine who had his 50th birthday party, and virtually everyone there was a copper, and all of them were counted. They could all tell you years, months, weeks, and days down to the day of their retirement when they could collect their pension. They were all just absolutely just bring it on. We are so miserable. It's no longer the job that we signed up to do. The thing is, the job they signed up to do is the job the public want them to do. It's just the bosses and the politicians don't seem to want them to do.
And to be honest, the noisy public, the portions of the noisy public that have made policing almost impossible. As soon as you try and deal with the youth now, in the old days, if you like, you could deal with them, you could bring them in, you could arrest them, you could speak to their parents. Now you suddenly got 5 cameras thrown in your face, and you've got groups of other kids hanging around trying to disrupt what you're trying to achieve.
I have to say, I don't mind everyone. I think it's in everyone's interest that a lot of this stuff is filmed and body cam footage and people. I think that's a really good thing. But again, we need to make reasonable judgments. And again, if a few scroats are afraid of the police, I'm willing to live with that. What did you make, by the way, especially having as a former boss of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, you know who are terrorist threats, and as much as the politicians on the left don't seem to like it, it's largely an Islamist threat in this country. Every mass murder event Islamist rather than anything else. But concern about mass migration, concern even about the fact that the British culture is kind of under attack and is disappearing. That alone could be something that could be considered a terrorist ideology that requires intervention to de-radicalise people. Who is saying this? The government's own anti-radicalisation Prevent programme. The official documents for an online training course on the government's website list cultural nationalism as a belief that could lead to someone being referred to de-radicalisation scheme. I'm pretty sure every single person who works at Talk, every single person who listens and watches Talk, an awful lot of our guests, half of the front bench of pretty much every political party, we could all be referred to Prevent on that basis, couldn't we?
Well, I think it's a signpost, but so is supporting England in football. You know, if you want England to win the World Cup, then you could be considered one of the terrorists.
Don't wave that flag. Don't wave that flag.
No, exactly. So it's absolutely bonkers, and we all know that. And this is where government, people that are making the rules are so far away from the man, woman in the street, and they just don't seem to know and don't get why people are so upset. And if you live in, the sunny Beaconsfield or, around the outside of London, if you live in those places, you're not affected by immigration that much. You quite like the fact that, you've got people delivering stuff to your door. But if you live in the council estates, in the centres of our cities, you are being devastated by mass immigration. And it's simple. We need to be speaking for those people. I think you do, Julia. Speak for those people that are actually suffering from this issue.
Yeah, I've been talking about this stuff since before 2000. I've had all the names. I've had all the names called to me over the water off a duck's back now. But really looking forward to being de-radicalised and re-educated. That would be great.
Me too.
It'll be fun. It was when it will be a really fun day out. Chris Phillips, always so good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us.